What's up everyone, James Lynch here, back with another review video, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Valve Steamdeck 512GB OLED version. So this is sort of the middle version of the Steam Decks. Of course, there's the LCD version kind of on the lower end, that's 256GB, and then on the high end, you have the 1TB version that's also OLED. So this is sort of the middleman. And before I get into today's video, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. It really helps out this channel a lot. So, like I do in all these videos, I'm going to start things off with why I decided to buy this device. First and foremost, I wanted to be able to play some retro games at the highest level. This is one of the most powerful devices that you can play retro gaming on. Things like Nintendo Switch, you have a lot more options with the Steam Deck than you would, say, the Retroid Pocket 5. The other thing that appealed to me as well was that I could play some newer games on here as well using the Steam Deck store, and it's very easy to download games, put them on here. So that was another big plus should I venture into some newer gaming. But if you guys watch this channel, I'm a pretty big retro gamer, so that was sort of the big appeal there. Another big plus to these devices is you can hook them up to your TV and play it on your TV. I thought that was pretty cool. It's got a HDMI out here. It's got a plug here that you can put into your TV, and you can actually play this as a device on your home TV as well, just adding some external controllers. I'll show you that a little bit later in this video. That was another big appeal to me. Steam has also got a huge community. These devices have been around for a number of years, so I like the fact that there's a lot of support and resources if I have any issues with my Steam Deck. And last but not least, if there's one thing you've known on this channel already, I am an OLED snob. So to be able to play games on this nice OLED screen here was a big plus. So that's why I opted to go for the OLED version as opposed to the LCD version. Now, if you're wondering why the Steam Deck looks a little bit different than some of the other ones out there, that's because I bought a really good accessory for this, and that is the D-brand kill switch. So this is a sort of accessories kit that you can buy for the Steam Deck. It comes with their own grips that get added on here, like you can see. Even the joysticks have some add-ons as well. It's got this nice kickstand on the back too. And the big appeal for me was the faceplate that you can add on here if you're traveling. So for example, if I want to put this on, it's already on here. The screen's not going to get damaged if I am bringing the Steam Deck traveling. This is the original Steam Deck case. Look how big this is, right? For some people, if you're going to pack this in a suitcase, no big deal. But if I wanted to put this in a backpack, this is a lot smaller. And that's another reason why I got the Kill Switch D brand, where you have these accessories that really just enhance the whole overall experience of using the Valve Steam Deck. The other accessory that I bought was the docking station. I did not buy the Steam Deck version of this. I got a cheaper version off Amazon from a company called JSOX. It's been a great option to be able to use the Steam Deck as a docking station, and I'll show you that a little bit later in the video. Okay, now you can see here in the video, playing on the Steam Deck, it boots up fairly fast. And just keep in mind for today's video, I'm only going to be playing retro games on here. You can see the performance for the retro games is absolutely amazing. Nintendo Switch, for the most part, plays very well. I did notice a little slowdown in games like Mario Golf, but overall, most of the Switch games on here will work. I've had a lot more trouble playing Switch games on something like the Retroid Pocket 5 and the Retroid Pocket Flip because it just doesn't have the same power that the Steam Deck does. But I would say overall, you can play a lot of Nintendo Switch games on this device, and that's a big appeal to me. The other cool thing about the Steam Deck is it really does scale up the old games, and with that OLED screen, the colors really pop on the screen. If I am playing some of the older games, for example, Sonic the Hedgehog here on Sega Genesis, looks absolutely beautiful on here with everything up-resed. It just makes the old games look so much better and so much more appealing when you're playing them. And I've said this before, but the controls on this thing are so comfortable. They're perfectly placed with the two joysticks, with the D-pad and some of the other menu buttons. I just think overall, this is one of the best layouts I've ever experienced using a handheld device. So now if you look at my TV here, the docking system works great. It's got a dock that you can just lie the Steam Deck on. It's hooked up to my TV. I just changed the input, and then I have actually some old Nintendo Switch controllers plugged into the device, and it automatically recognizes what type of controllers these are. And it's just a great experience being able to play this as a TV device and a handheld device as well. It's a nice bonus, especially if I'm not on the go. I can just sit at home and play this as an actual gaming device on my television. And as far as I know, any USB controller will work on here with the docking system. So again, an accessory that doesn't cost a whole lot. I think I paid about $45 Canadian for this docking system. It just enhances the overall experience for the Steam Deck. Now, I've talked about all the things I really like about the Steam Deck. I do have one thing I don't like, and that is that the Steam Deck, and you can see the USB-C that's located on there, it doesn't act like an external hard drive. So in other words, if I'm plugging this into my computer and I want to load games on here, you can't really do that. The way you have to do this is you have to go into desktop mode on your Steam Deck, and you actually have to load the games that way. So for example, if I wanted to load ROMs on here, what I would need is an external keyboard and an external hard drive. And what I would use is something like this, which is like its own docking station here. I'm sure you guys have seen these. This is one I got, like a cheaper brand. So how this works is this plugs into here, and then I would plug in my keyboard and my external hard drive in here. And then you actually have to go into desktop mode and drag the files off your external hard drive onto here. Now, there may be a way to do this remotely. I haven't figured that out yet, but the only way I was able to load my ROMs on here was attach an external hard drive, attach an external keyboard, and go through here and load everything via the hard drive to this actual computer. I kind of wish there was a way that you could just plug this in like a tablet, like an external hard drive, and you could just drag and drop your files that way. But as far as I know for now, the only way you can do this is attaching something like this. And this just seems very unnecessary and an extra step. Like I said, in the comments, if you know a way to remotely go into your Steam Deck, I would love to figure that out. But for now, I think you have to basically go in manually and add all this. And this is kind of a pain in the ass. That's probably the only con I have about the Steam Deck, is I wish there was a way that this would be treated like an external hard drive. It was an easy swap in, swap out as far as putting games, ROMs, movies, whatever you name it on here. Just makes it a little bit easier. Now let's talk about the pricing. I mentioned it there. If you're getting your first Steam Deck and you're not concerned with the display, I definitely think the LCD version is worth it. If you want to get the OLED version, the 512GB, the one that I have right here, that's going to cost you about $689 Canadian and about $500 US. And then if you want to go on the high end here, you can go $819 Canadian and about $600 US. Now for me, I'm not playing a lot of new games on here, so that's why I didn't need to get the 1TB version. You can also add an SD card on here as well on the bottom if you want to load stuff in that way. So that's another way you can add more storage on here. But if you're going to be playing a lot of new games, I probably would go the 1TB version. But for me, the 512GB has worked out perfectly. I don't need that extra hard drive space. So there you have it. This was kind of a general overview of the Steam Deck. There's lots of videos out there that will go a lot more in depth as far as the specs and some of the high performance gaming on here. But for a dad like myself who's got 2 kids, I mainly just want to play retro games on here, and it absolutely does the trick. And I guess the thing I like the most about this is just knowing that I can play some of the higher end retro games. Like I didn't even talk today about like Xbox and some of those other systems. They will work on here as well. And it's just the freedom of being able to play as many retro gaming systems as I want sort of on this device. And that's sort of a big plus, as opposed to something like a Retroid Pocket Flip. Now I will say this is not going to be a primary device for me traveling unless I'm going on like a really long trip. It is pretty big, even with the kill switch cover. It is still pretty bulky to put in a backpack. I much prefer using my Retroid Pocket Flip if I do want a game and I'm traveling. This is more of an at-home device, but I also like the option too if I want to go somewhere with it and I have maybe some extra space that I want to use in my bag. I could bring this, but this will primarily not be my handheld for traveling. I'll be using the Retroid Pocket Flip. So let me know in the comments if you own a Steam Deck, or if you don't and you have any questions and want to know anything, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer any feedback you might have. Again, I'm very happy with this device and really enjoy using it. And I definitely think it's worth it to get the Kill Switch D brand accessories that go with this, along with the docking station. It just adds a whole different experience to the Steam Deck overall. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram @LynchOnSports, and you can subscribe to the Lynch on Life channel there. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, so your support means a lot. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.